Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's series, Do It with Passion. We are so excited to be able to highlight the amazing people that do so much for our community. My name is Alexa Diaz. I'm the Senior Director of Capstone Programs at Junior Achievement. And I have Miss Lauren Henderson. She's our Finance Park Manager. And we will be highlighting somebody very special today. Since it's Teacher Appreciation Week, we want to make sure that those teachers know how much we value and appreciate everything that they do in the schools and now virtually. And so we're super excited to welcome Mr. De Vries. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Alexa?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now you're with Dave Posnack Jewish Day School, correct? David
That's right.
Posnack Jewish
That's
Day.
right. That's right. Down in Davie, Florida.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you. And as you heard, obviously, we want to highlight you because this week is all about you. And I know that parents around the world are saying those exact words. I mean, teachers are the best. Teachers are needed in this world. They need to get paid better. They need to get appreciated because parents are now acting as teachers and they're realizing how difficult it is. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience right now? I know from one moment to the next, everything changed. How has it been for you?
Well, I'll tell you this. The transition that we've made as a school as a whole, because we have elementary, everything from K through 12. Our students were really set up for success and to handle this transition pretty well because the majority of our students actually have their own laptops. So we're really fortunate in that all of our students have been able to access our online classes. However it is that we're implementing learning in an online format. It's really been a smooth transition. I'd say the toughest part, I think, for everybody right now is just the amount of screen time throughout the day, and trying to manage that and stay sane. I know, after 7-8 hours of being in front of a computer, talking and teaching and for the kids, just trying to pay attention, trying to get their work done. It's definitely challenging, and I think it's a little bit stressful as well. But it's important in these moments, to find some kind of a release, whether it's exercise, going for a walk. I encourage my students to get off the computer and away from a screen as much as possible. And obviously adhering to all guidelines and everything like that, going outside. But it's important as much as learning and the academics is important to continue in this online format. It's just as important to have a little bit of a balance in their life as well. So that's probably, I'd say, the biggest challenge. Other than that, it's gone pretty seamlessly, and in my experience, I can't say I can't speak for everybody, throughout the country and the world who's going through it right now. But mine's been fairly easy and managed well. And I give credit to both the students and my administration as well for making it that way.
What a whirlwind. I mean, we were talking with somebody and we were saying, I can't believe it's been over 7 weeks that we're going through this. I mean, we really didn't think that it was going to last this long. And obviously with the news of not going back to school, what is kind of the feedback that you're getting from parents?
I think the parents' feedback is being funneled towards the administration. I'm sure they're hearing a lot more than I am. I can speak a little bit more accurately towards the feeling of the students. I think at the beginning with this transition, I think students were happy. Well, we don't have to wake up as early, we don't have to get to school on time. But as we've gone on and the quarantine, the reality is kind of set in that there is no foreseeable end to this. I think as that sets in, I think the students are I'm not going to say that they're completely bummed out, but I think the fact that they're not able to see their friends kind of adds, to the stress of the whole quarantine situation, as well as there's a lot of things going that would have gone on in school, like for our 8th graders and our 5th graders, everybody who's transitioning from, like, say, the elementary or the middle school up to the next level. We have, moving up ceremonies for them, and we're not able to do that for them. And I think, we're looking into ways of being able to do that digitally to try to give them that closure. But I think that type of closure is really important for them. And I can definitely tell that they're missing out on that opportunity. And then, on the broader spectrum, things like sports and music and all of these things, students, these are the outlets that I was talking about before, and a lot of students don't necessarily have access to them the way that they used to. So the feedback that I'm getting is that they're struggling with some of these things, in general. But overall, I give my students as much credit as I possibly can, because they're handling it as good as could be expected, or as well as can be expected, considering the circumstances.
Wow. And we want to learn from you. So as you are learning how to find different strategies, to be able to assist your students, we are reaching out to you at the same time. I know Lauren has, just to be able to ask you questions, because we're trying to figure out ways in which we can put out virtual volunteer opportunities. We've been forced to think, 100 years in the future. And so I really thank you for just being proactive and being that person that we can go to, so that hopefully we can improve the quality of our programs and come up with innovative strategies we maybe would have never done if it wasn't for this.
Well, I'll tell you this, to speak to that point, as much as you're saying that you appreciate me and everything that we're doing, I cannot tell you how easy you guys have made it for me, being that I'm teaching the JA finance course. The amount of resources and the ease of access that you guys have given us, as teachers, and even beyond the teacher in the classroom. Now, obviously, some parents have to kind of pick up that load. Just the fact that you guys exist, and then past that, the infrastructure you guys have created for your resources and for your material, it's just made it. It's made it just so easy. It's made my life so easy, and I really appreciate you guys and everything that you're doing. And I would love, when things pop up and I have some kind of a strategy to share with you guys, I'm happy to do that as well. But I just want to say this first and foremost, that you guys have done and continue to do and have always done a great job with this curriculum. And it's making, again, we talk about difficult transitions. It's making this transition really easy.
And I know that Lauren is bummed. Thank you so much, because we were supposed to have you guys in these days. You were supposed to visit us.
Yeah.
And tell us a little about, I know you have such an amazing relationship with Mr. De Vries. So I'm so happy that we're able to bring him on. I know that you had a couple questions.
Yeah. All right. I'll take over then. So Mr. De Vries, I'm really, really bummed out that you didn't get to come. I know we back and forth tried to move your date back a couple times just to see, when this will all end, and hopefully you were able to come, but unfortunately you weren't. But, I just want to get to know you a little bit more. I know last year I worked with you, and this year was the second year working with you. But, I just want to get to know you on a deeper level. So, I just have a question. How long have you been teaching in general?
Well, it's not a difficult question for me to answer, but put it this way. As a lead teacher in a classroom, I've been teaching for about 5 years. Beyond that, I was a paraprofessional up in New Jersey for a couple of years, where I was working in special education. But for the last decade or so, I've been in education in some facet or another. Whether it's teaching swim lessons, I'm a scuba instructor as well. I coach baseball. And I've been doing this ever since I'm 17, 18 years old. And so I've been educating people in some way, shape, or form for well over a decade now. Moving into the classroom was just kind of a natural transition, I think, for my career. Coming off of working as a scuba instructor, that's not necessarily a career path. So teaching in a classroom kind of opened itself up to me. And I've been doing it, like I said, now for about 5 years as a lead teacher. Wow.
And specifically, you teach an age group that some people might go, "Oh my goodness, why do you teach middle schoolers?" But specifically, what do you love about teaching middle schoolers, or what drew you to want to teach middle schoolers in particular?
Well, I think that feeling or the thoughts that arise when you think of middle school and what teaching middle school students would be like. I think that's exactly why I became a middle school teacher, because I can think back to when I was a student in middle school, and generally speaking, it's a difficult time in anybody's life. You hit your teen years, and there's a lot of transition, a lot of changes, and it's really the perfect storm. Everything from mental to physical to academic. I think more specifically, though, one of the most difficult parts of being a teenager is the fact that the word responsibility starts to take on a much heavier meaning. And a lot of the behavioral issues and just overall the problems that may arise in teaching middle school students, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that it is a difficult transition for them. And I think a lot of it is just in response to the way that their world is changing so much. And I know personally, when I was in middle school, I had a difficult time as well. Just transitioning into this. I'm starting to be, I'm kind of a young adult now, and I have all these things that I've got to be more responsible for myself and my classes. Now I have 5-6 different classes and I'm transitioning. I just remember it being very difficult. So why did I choose to teach in the middle school? Because I can't think of any better way to spend a career than to make that transition a little bit easier for these students and give them strategies and coping strategies for success, throughout their life that really sets them up to be successful later on as an adult.
I was going to say when, I get 8th graders and 7th graders in the park all the time. And it's so amazing because, a lot of people think, oh, middle schoolers. And I say, look, they are coming into themselves, and they're right at that point where they need to be inspired. And so I always tell volunteers, be that light in their life for 4 hours, while they're here, and inspire them to understand what it's like to be an adult and understand where they're going. And maybe hopefully they find something while they're there. And, whether it's a career pathway or, deciding what they want to do after high school, I always say, right at that point, where it can go one way or another. And if you inspire them, it's
absolutely. And to speak to the curriculum as well. You said the word. I mean, the word is inspire. And I think that it's a time in their life where they struggle to be inspired by things. One of the most frustrating questions that I hear in a middle school classroom, but also my favorite, because I love to give them this answer, is well, when am I ever going to use this stuff? When am I? Well, okay, this quadratic formula. When am I ever going to use this later on in life? And before I taught this class, my answer to them would be, well, it's not necessarily about the specific concept that you're learning. I mean, the overall lesson here is that you can be challenged and overcome that challenge, and each one of us walks a path to overcome that, these challenges in life a little bit differently than everybody else. And you got to learn about yourself. You got to learn what strategies you need to be successful. So I love when they ask that question, but I hate it at the same time. But specifically to this class, JA Finance and the concepts that you guys teach, let that never be said, about your curriculum, because every single piece of information that comes out of these workbooks and the extra activities that you guys give as well to kind of make it a little bit more real to them. I tell them, you follow this. This is a pretty. You pretty much have the cheat codes, to success in life. It's not a guarantee, but it'll if you follow the stuff that you're learning in this class, the road might be a little bit easier for you. Put it that way.
Yeah. I love when students always say, I had no idea that this is everything you had to pay for, and they have an idea of how much money they want to make. And they think, oh, I can live easily off of that. And then as they come to the park and then they have, fake children and a spouse and all these responsibilities and payments. And they just look at me like, I don't know how adults do this. I don't know how they get through the day. I don't know how they get through the month. So it's always awesome to see that.
One of my favorite moments when teaching this curriculum is when we start looking at paychecks, and you show a student what you make, what your gross pay is, and then you start chipping away, at all the taxes and when your bills, your budgeting, and all that stuff. Really, just how little is left over. I think that lesson right there is the ultimate inspiration for. Go to college, get as much education as you possibly can, and go out there and make a living. I mean, find a job that's going to pay you enough to live the lifestyle you want. And I say this to my students. I mean, I know a lot of people might disagree with me. A lot of people say find something that you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. But I'll tell you this, I don't know if you. I think there are very few people that after 25, 30 years of doing something, they're going to tell you they love it just the same as they did day one. So instead, what I tell my students is find a lifestyle. Pick a lifestyle. What kind of a lifestyle do you want to live? And then go out there and find the options that are going to pay you that much money that you can live that lifestyle, because it's not always about your job. It's not always about the career. You got to have work-life balance as well. And so if you're the type of person, you want to go off and you want to travel multiple times a year, you want to have a big family, you want to have a big house, nice cars, nice clothes, all that stuff. You want to save for a healthy retirement. Then go find all the options out there that you can go out there and make that kind of a paycheck and do it. And that lesson right there kind of is the exclamation point at the end of me telling my students all about that. So
yeah, I find it so inspiring too when students come in and have no idea the options they have after high school, and when they hear that grade school is something that they can make a really good living out of it and not have a lot of student debt, and there's all these benefits to it. It's just it's awesome that they come in and they have no idea, and by the end of it they have a whole new idea of what they could do after high school.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. I think what you guys do, I think you fill a gap that has existed. I don't know. I can't tell you for how long it's existed, but I remember being in high school and my guidance counselors and it was just never really spoken about. What options do you have other than college? It always kind of seems like college. Now, my personal view on that is my job is to make sure that every single student is able to go to college if they want to. Yes. You have that option. Okay. Now, obviously, school isn't for everybody. Postgraduate school is not for everybody. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But I don't feel I'd be doing my job right if I wasn't trying everything I could to at least give you that option. But again, in my history, I don't remember anybody ever telling me about any trade schools. It was always just college or that's it. And I think that is, I don't like to criticize the industry that I work in, but I think healthy criticism leads to improvement.
Of course.
And so I think that you guys are definitely filling in a gap that's existed where students don't know what these options are. And agreed, like I said, it's not just the curriculum that you guys have put together in terms of the facts and the information that you present, but it's also it's the enriching activities that give students a chance to go explore these options and make it a little bit more real, a little bit more tangible to them, where, some of these kids really can see themselves doing something that you would only have to go to school for 2 years, and get yourself a trade certification. Obviously, you learn a little bit more on the job and certain jobs like that, you gain your expertise with on-the-job training, stuff like that. But they wouldn't even know what these things are without this type of a curriculum. And to go back to your previous question, that's another reason why I really enjoy teaching this grade level, because I want to get this message to them early. Personally, I went to college. I studied sport management. I did that because I wasn't necessarily the greatest student in high school, but people kept pushing me towards college. And they figured, this is what my guidance counselor did. He put a couple of schools out there that I could get into with my GPA in front of me and said, hey, look, they all offer sports management. You like sports. I was a big baseball player. You like sports. Why don't you go work for the Yankees one day? That's a dangerous sentiment to put into somebody's head if you don't tell them exactly what type of work or the legwork that needs to go into achieving that. Because, my fourth year, my senior year of college, I'm about to graduate, and I'm looking at my job prospects, and I'm looking at maybe an unpaid internship out of college, or at best, maybe I'm making $30,000 a year. Now I did really well. I got really good grades, but all that effort, looking back on it, I'm not going to say it was a waste. A college degree definitely opened up a lot of doors. But if people had been a little bit more real with me and, spoke to me, as I don't know, I'm not going to say speaking to me like an adult, but speaking to a youth about the realities of life a little bit earlier, I think you'd be surprised at just how well they can comprehend those concepts and would help making the decision when it comes time. Hey, what do you want to study here at this fine university? And rather than just picking something that seems easy or seems like you might like it, something that gives them a clear pathway to earning potential and something that sets them up for financial stability. Yeah,
I always tell people too that if I would have had this program growing up and had the opportunity to have learned it, then I probably would have made a lot of financial decisions differently. I would have started saving earlier. I would have, by the time that I realized how to, to what all my finances were, it was already a little late for me. It's awesome that these kids.
No, I really agree. I think a lot of mistakes that I've made in, throughout my teen years and my 20s, I think a lot of them wouldn't have been made if I had a curriculum like this.
And honestly, you're teaching me what I should be telling my son. So thank you, because, it is because of people like you that we are able what's so cool about what you were saying is that with our program, they go through the curriculum at school and then they put into practice what it is that they learned. So it makes it so that it's a powerful and impactful experience that hopefully they will remember forever. And all of that wouldn't be possible if you are not so inspired to teach that curriculum, because it's one thing to just learn from a book, but it's another to be able to actually put into practice and make decisions on your own, which is why it's so important that students have to be independent when they come to JA, because it's not about us making choices for them. They are the ones that are making choices for themselves. And this teaches you not just, a pathway for obvious financial literacy, but it's a pathway for life. I mean, making choices and making decisions and seeing what's available out there. It's all about making sure that you had people to fully train you to be able to make those choices. So I couldn't be happier to have someone. I'm so glad you said yes to us. And we really appreciate this amazing conversation. I think we could go for hours because there's so much more that I want to talk about with you.
Sure.
So we'll maybe make another one later on as we see, the transitions, because I know we're going to look back at these times, and it's going to be so important to take a look at everything that we learned and how we benefited, what were our weaknesses. And there's so much to take away, but those students are so lucky to have you as their teacher, as their mentor, because you obviously care about them. You care about their well-being. And it's inspiring to be able to know teachers like you, because, it's a hard job. And like we mentioned at the beginning, it's not something that, you would choose if you were in it for the money. It's something that you choose because you're passionate about it. And we're just so excited to be able to celebrate this Teacher Appreciation Week with you. And we hope that we'll be able to see you again soon, and to try to figure out different ways in which we can work. I know you and Lauren were talking and discussing about ways, hopefully, in which we can input J Finance Park virtually. And we'll talk more about the options that we have available so that hopefully your students don't miss out completely.
Sure. And I just want to say, guys, for all the reasons that you listed above, I consider it a privilege to teach this curriculum to my students. So thank you very much for putting it out there and all the work that you guys do and the effort that you put in. It's clear. It's very clear how much effort and care you guys put into the curriculum, and makes our job as tough as it is. It makes it a lot easier. So thank you very much. And in the future, if there's anything that you need at all, feel free to reach out to me. You have my email. If need be, I'll give you my cell phone number as well. I'd love to collaborate with you guys. I think you guys do great work. And I hope you guys continue on for years and years and years to come.
We need people like you in this world.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mr. De Vries, I really appreciate your kind words, but I tell teachers this all the time. I could not do my job if it was not for teachers like you. So thank you.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope you stay safe and healthy for sure with your family. And we will keep in touch.
Absolutely. We'll all be back soon.
Yes.
Yes.
See you soon. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Bye, guys. See you.
Bye-bye.